As fans of the second highest selling video game of all time wait for yet another port of Grand Theft Auto V, Rockstar has charted out another GTA remaster, Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. GTA is a household name, and part of that is due to the absolute acclaim of the PlayStation 2 trilogy of games, 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. This collection packs together what some would consider to be the absolute best that the series has to offer, all for current generation consoles and even the Nintendo Switch. However, this isn't the first time Rockstar has tried this. San Andreas has seen a good few revisions throughout the years, beginning on the PlayStation 2, making its way to the original Xbox, finding itself getting an HD version on phones in 2013, and then the port of that mobile version to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. The latter of which was considered to be a poor remaster developed by the exact same team who worked on Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. Fortunately, some lessons appear to have been learned in the 7 years since their last attempt. There's a reason that video games get remastered so commonly. With how fast the industry moves in the span of a decade, a game can release to outstanding reception, become the standard that all developers follow and innovate upon, and then wind up completely outdated and utterly clunky by the time that people want to go revisit it for nostalgia purposes. In replaying the PS2 versions of Vice City and San Andreas specifically for comparison against the Definitive Edition, those games have control schemes mired in the early 2000s, and the lack of free aim feels frustrating when you want to hit specific targets easily. While I love my PS2 back in the day, the 20 years since it brought a lot to the table in terms of what gamers expect when they jump into a video game. Which is why the Definitive Edition feels like such a critical revamp. The modernizations are apparent in one of the first missions of Vice City. You're tasked with blowing up a red barrel by shooting at it as you're swarmed with enemies. In the PS2 version, you'd have to either shoot wildly while running around hoping you'd accidentally hit the target, or kill everyone and then try to line up a shot without being able to freely aim. In the Trilogy, all you have to do is hold LT to aim just like any other game on the market. Originally, driving used to use A and B to accelerate and reverse, but now it uses the triggers which feel more natural. This is exactly what a remaster should do. Keep the aspects of the original, while adding in small changes that make it just as fun to play as it was 2 decades ago. Visually, the game has gained and lost a lot. Certain filters used in San Andreas that added moody lighting have been toned down to look a bit more neutral, while other aspects like the neon reflections in Vice City have been cranked up to 11. Most textures look great, especially when driving, but scrutinizing them will reveal they do look a little dull. On the whole, though, character models tend to look nicer with actual definition to clothing, but there is the occasional goofy-looking expression that looks like Rockstar forgot to put the finishing touches on some models in the remastering process. At times, there is some frustration. GTA is such a massive franchise, clearly Rockstar could have done better with the resources that they have. The neon lighting of Vice City, all redone in 4K, casts some great-looking hues across the streets. But is this really the best they could do with the power of the PlayStation 5? Textures look nice, but not to the point that the frame rate in Grand Theft Auto 3 should be stuttering at any point. I can't help but think that if these 3 games are some of the most instrumental in history, they might deserve a better treatment than a visual upgrade with a few quality of life improvements. It can be a mixed bag, though. For me, the positive changes certainly outweigh the negative quirks. This is at least applicable to the PS5 version. The Switch and PC ports appear to be less than stellar. Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, at the end of the day is 3 well-regarded games bundled together, with some modernizations to help keep them relevant nearly 20 years after their original release. Perhaps it's due to the fact that I'm new to GTA that prevents me from finding many issues with this collection, as I'm absolutely taken with the fun gameplay and more than content with the graphics and the performance. But that also goes to show how this collection can help introduce these games to the current generation, allowing new fans to understand the hype behind 3 classic industry-defining titles.